That's right, ladies and gentlemen, live from the Screwball Whiskey Studios here in sunny Murrells Inlet. It's not too sunny today, is it, Brother Steve?
No, it's raining.
Brother Steve Blevins in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Sound man, guitar virtuoso, Hank Williams fan, unfortunate Tennessee fan. All right, so before we get going, I want to say that if this cuts off at all, if the camera cuts off at all in the middle of this, I dropped the ball and forgot to charge it all the way. So if the camera does fail at some point during this, please go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere podcasts are available and listen to the audio version. The audio version will be complete, but the video may die on us. And I'm not saying that for sure, but just in case. Just in case. That's where you can find that. So, Brother Steve, before we go further, and to make sure that the YouTube and the audio let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and roll on audio. Indeed, Brother Steve Blevins in the house, ladies and gentlemen. I was just about to ask you, Brother Steve, before we go further, I've told the YouTubers, audio folks, I've told the YouTubers that the camera might go out on us, so I just wanted to, before we get any further, we usually do all like plugs and things that you want to do at the end, but just in case we don't get that for YouTube, I want to go ahead and get that out now. What do you got going on coming up soon that you want to plug or get out or talk about while I do some sharing here real quick?
Cool. The only thing I've got really going on other than work is this album that I want to try to release. I've been working on it since, I'm going to say about 2014.
Yeah.
Right after the first one I released, and started right into it. And so I want to try to get that together and finish it and mix it and master it and fix some errors so it sounds respectable and release it.
That's cool, man. And where are you doing that recording at? I'm listening to, man, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's I was just fortunate enough to grow up in a recording studio. My father was an engineer. He had several studios, so I was around it all the time, and it's kind of where I started my mixing too. For everything, live sound, everything. But yeah, I want to get that done and get it out there to people. Let them hear it, see if they like it. If they don't like it, that's cool. If they like it, that's cool. I just want to keep putting music out. So I got a little time to just kind of fix the rest of it and then release it. I was wanting to get it out in July, but I don't think that's going to happen. So
now I do this a lot. When I mix things, I will continuously go in and just mess with it. Not mess with it, but I'll continuously go in and think, okay, did I do this? Could I have done this better? Could I have done this differently or better? And I will go in and I will never stop messing with it. So I have a tendency to release things prematurely just so I don't overtouch it,
Oh, yeah.
Do you have that at all?
It's like, it's like each one of those tracks, man, takes on its own life every time you mess with it.
Right.
It's kind of like, you ever seen a guitar player that never plays the same lead twice?
Oh, yeah.
He'll always do something new.
Right.
That's kind of the way it is, the way I look at it. Because every time I put my finger on it and I listen to it, if I stay on it within 2 or 3 days or something like that, it stays in my head. But once it starts coming out of my head, if I let other things go on and get to me, then the next time I go back to that track, it sounds different. It's not what I was trying to...
Well, yeah, because after you get it in your head, it's then going to live there.
Right.
So then whenever it lives there, and because memories aren't exact,
right,
it'll sound, you'll have little differences.
So it's like cocaine, man. You get addicted to that once you go back to the track, and then you hear something new, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should do this. And everything changes. You start doing, you get creative, and it just never, never stops.
It is addictive, and man, I've been telling the listeners, oh, what's up? What up, Honey Badger? There's a point where you can kill it if you pick on it too much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I get that 100%, and I'm done with this now. By the way, so I can put this down as soon as it gets shared out. And there we go. We're good to go on that. Take that thing elsewhere.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now with that. Everything else has just been running sound on the beach, doing this and that, my work and festivals.
Oh yeah.
Did that Waccamaw Festival.
Yeah,
that
man.
That was really cool.
Waccamaw was good, man. We did that Thursday night thing, but we were just so unorganized for that. Like we didn't really know where we were walking into, and we were unorganized for that. Like we played for like, I don't know.
I missed you because I left early. I came in on the boat.
Yeah.
And then I left at 6:00 back on the boat.
Well, yeah, we got there shortly after that, and we only played for like, I don't know, 30 or 45 minutes or something like that, maybe an hour. And then we went to like take a break because Adam and Smitty were like, all right, well, let's. And I like to play straight through, dude. I like to keep going, and that's my deal.
It was some good stuff there, man. It's always kind of a loose environment, I think, until you get into the road bands that come in. Their stuff's like clockwork because they're just doing it over and over and over.
Yeah.
But from the most part, what I've seen is kind of a loose jam type thing. And it's still tight, but because they're always having other people come up. And when you add, it's just like adding a new track to the recording. You add another player, then it takes it to a different little thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it becomes. But there was a lot of good bands, a lot of good jamming, dude.
I heard, man.
Sister Sparrow was just, of course, I'm a big fan anyway. But,
yeah.
But they were amazing.
A little closer to you there.
They were amazingly tight. Yeah, I probably sound like I was in a barrel.
Yeah, well, I want you to get like Joe Rogan calls it, get a fist within your.
Yes.
But just and these chairs too, because they do let you move around, and these mics are pretty good. Like they'll catch you at far enough back, but just I don't listen to the audio as much as I should anymore.
Can y'all hear me out there?
Oh yeah. They'll, if you can hear you, they can hear you. But
I was just doing the mic check thing again.
Yeah, we just want to make sure. Does everything sound good? Like, give us some feedback, ladies and gentlemen. Give us some feedback. Does everything sound good?
Checking 1-1. What's up? I'm just now looking down. How you tell who's name? Oh, it's Badger.
Honey Badger.
Honey Badger,
all art is like that. You're right, Honey Badger. So just let us know whether we're done. Oh, really? Oh, is that right? Man, listen, they're just all excited for us.
It's got a wrench.
Got that wrench. That's right, Honey Badger with a wrench. So before we go further, I know we're going to talk a lot about music and recording, and we'll get back to Waccamaw Festival as well. You told me that you are a whiskey fan. You enjoy the whiskey. So that's ironic because our one and only sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, screwballwhiskey.com. Go to screwball, SKREW, ballwhiskey.com. Tomorrow's stories begin right here. Screwball Whiskey, hashtag get screwed, SKREWED. Go check that out at screwballwhiskey.com. Once again, SKREW, ballwhiskey.com. We have one tiny sip left in the bottle. And
that's a corner. You
yes.
never leave a corner in a whiskey bottle. A true whiskey drinker never leaves that.
I'm not a drinker, so
okay.
Right, I don't drink. I've been a little more than about 3.5 years sober.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sobriety's a big deal.
Well, and I mean, like I say, I'll still smoke pot, but I just you got to have something, and it just pops out. There you go.
Just like the Pirates.
There you go. So wanted to get you. You say you like whiskey. I wanted to get you to at least taste the last of that.
Yeah. Whoa. Man, that's like candy, dude.
I wish there was more, man. I wish there were more so you could.
I could get in trouble drinking that.
That's the thing that I've said the most is that it's dangerous.
Yeah, I could get in trouble drinking that.
I've used that word to describe it more often than any other word. Is that just dangerous? Because I remember the first time I had like Fireball or Rumple or something like that. Like just it was delicious. It was just so good. I was like, oh man, this I can do.
It is. It's like candy. And Fireball and some of those other ones are like that too. I like that. I usually drink Jack Fire.
Well, Jack Fire tastes all right. So I remember these because I was still drinking heavily when these things came out. And you're right, Honey Badger, drinking isn't required. I got the Fireball craze that came around, and it was like, okay, this thing says it's whiskey, but it just tastes like a cordial. Jack Fire tastes like a whiskey. Like it tastes like, okay, this is whiskey. Fireball can be called cinnamon whiskey, but I believe it's more of a cordial.
Yeah.
And dude, the Jack Fire, that shit was like, dude, this is whiskey with just a hint, like a small hint.
You'll see these people drink this Fireball, man. They'll be jumping around. Crazy. Give me another one. Shot.
Oh yeah.
And you're drinking. I'll drink Fireball too, especially if I'm just being cheap one
right,
night or whatever.
Right.
But,
Fireball's always on sale.
Yeah. So, but those people drink that. But I've experienced people. Because I'll usually have Fireball in there, and then I'll pull out the Jack Fire because everybody won't drink Jack Fire or Jack Daniels, but I'll start drinking that, and they're like, "Hey, can I have some of that?" And they start drinking it, and then after 4 drinks, they're like, "I'm fucked up."
Right,
yeah, it's Jack Daniels.
Right, that's right. That's the thing. Like those Fireballs, man, and I'm not sure if this is a thing, but I would imagine that the Jack would give you less of a headache because there's probably a bit less sugar. There's probably a bit less like.
I don't know. There's something about that Jack Fire that the hangover is there, bro. I mean, it's there. If you hit that thing too hard, it's there. You know what I mean? It'll be like next morning. I don't care how long you've been drinking. Be like, hey, you remember last night?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I hear you. I got there sort of, Honey Badger. I know what you're talking about. I the shots were just my thing. Like I would drink just shots because I think I was already sober by the time I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I was getting bad.
You would remember, dude. This is the thing. You would remember if I were drunk when we met. Like it was that bad.
I think the first time we met was actually talked was at the up North Myrtle Beach. At
the Barefoot Landing thing, or not Barefoot Landing, but Barefoot Golf Course, maybe.
No, where the boats are.
Yeah,
What's that called?
Yeah. Shit, the. Oh man, like Ruth Chris or something like that.
Well, they had the Kentucky Derby and all that stuff,
Yeah, the little. It was a quaint. It was a definitely a triangle sandwich party for sure. Grand Dunes. There you go.
And you guys were playing, and I was running the the
You were
stage.
running wedges, yeah.
Yeah. So and I was like, hey, Hank.
And I was like, man. You don't know.
He turned around and looked at me, and I was like, he's going to play it. He's going to do it.
You get it?
Got it, yeah.
Brother Jeremiah Latimer got me that stuff. He went to the Hank Williams Museum in Montgomery, I think it is.
Yeah.
And brought me back all kinds of stuff, like this sticker here. And Brother Smitty painted me this original Hank Williams.
That's cool as shit. Yeah.
And
Hank was a bad boy.
Yeah, he was.
So I think the song I requested was "Never Get Out of This World Alive." I've asked everybody that. Nobody does it. Well, I mean, you get in Tennessee, somebody whip it out.
Oh, for sure.
But here, nobody does it. Especially the country bands.
I know that's me.
Especially the country bands, I'm not gonna name, but a few of them that I say, hey man, you play this?
Yeah.
They just look at me, no, we don't do that. And you whipped it right out, and I was like, damn.
Well,
I loved it. I mean, I really enjoyed it because I was like, man, this is like one of my favorite songs, and you never get sometimes those there's these certain songs that people don't play.
Oh yeah.
You know, and when you get to see somebody play it, I was sitting there thinking, well, I wonder what it'd be like if I did it. You know what I mean? If I decided to do it, you know. But I never was. I never was a real big country player. My whole family were musicians. My dad, my uncles, my cousins, and it goes on back into the mountains there. I've got a couple of famous people that's related to my family that's played, like Hank Garland and this and that. But my dad, all of them were bluegrass pickers.
Right.
My whole family. And you know, I'll just sit there. It's in my ear right now. I can hear it, like you were talking about. You hear stuff. It's forever in my head because we would sit there, you know, and I would sit there and color a book, waiting for my dad and uncle to get done playing what they were doing. You know, but yeah, it's Hank is a thing to me because my grandma got divorced when I was a kid, and she's my great aunt, actually. I call her my grandmother because my
we all got those.
Yeah, and anyway, he took off with another woman. She would pine over him, you know. She'd sit there and cry and all that stuff, and I'm just this kid watching. And my great uncle Tank was a country blues player.
Yeah,
he had his guitar was there. He's dead, you know, gone. And I'm over there trying to pull that guitar out of that case, you know. My aunt's over there crying and shit, you know. And she's putting on these Hank 78s, winding up the.
Oh yeah,
put them on, you know, and I mean just.
Hank will do that, man.
Some of that wailing, crying music, you know. And I was sitting there, and I was sitting there with that guitar, you know, and didn't know a damn thing about it because at that time I wasn't playing yet. But you know, my family members was going, you know, one day you're going to be just like your dad. You're going to grow up and be this great musician, you know. And I'm this kid going, how in the hell am I going to do that, you know? And so every time I got the opportunity to grab that guitar out of that case, when my aunt was upset, playing her, you know, she'd play it over and over and over. When she'd get upset, she'd stick it on her and play it, you know. And I was sitting there with one finger trying to figure out Hank songs, you know, going.
Yeah.
But I never really was into playing country.
What's up, Chief? Honey Badger says she knew some Blevins from Kentucky, musicians too, all of them.
Well, they say that people in Kentucky are Yankees. No, I'm just. That's just what what's his name said. But that's cool. Yeah, they're all around those areas. What was this on that Jeff Foxworthy thing? Hillbilly or something like that, where they were talking about Trace Atkins. Trace Atkins said, "Yeah, them people in Kentucky are Yankees." I just thought that was the funniest thing I ever heard when he said that.
Man, Trace Atkins has a story about Porter Wagner, who went up to Trace. It was either Porter Wagner or Buck Owens or one of them. One of those guys went up to Trace Atkins and was like, "Boy, you better hit that low note in every song you got because that's the only thing you got going for you." And he did. He hit that low note, and he's got that low vocal note that he's got in every song. But you were talking about, man, Hank does that to people. Hank just brings the emotion out, and I love that. Like, that's my thing. Like, I really like to be made to feel something. Yeah. Like, and man, ain't nobody can do that like Hank, man. You listen to like Just Waiting. Or hell, I'll never get out of this world alive, man. Like,
he didn't even hear the song before it was released. You know that?
Yeah, that was the last thing he recorded. It was the last song he recorded, and it's ironic that was the last one because he just the songwriting in that song is just so clever in a way where he was like, you know, if these shabby shoes I'm wearing all the time, full of holes and nails, and brother, if I stepped on a worn out dime, I bet a nickel I could tell you if it was heads or tails. This is the second podcast in a row that I've quoted that lyric, and I didn't realize it until I started going into it.
Hell, you did it good. Yeah,
but it's true, man.
It is crazy, man. Him and that Aubrey chick that he was with right before, you know, when all that was going on, he's married to.
Yeah.
I think they were both just crazy as hell drunks,
right?
Though, you know, some stuff I heard from my family. But But I tell you a story about Hank. Hank was at the they kicked him out of Nashville.
Right.
He was
got
banned.
fired from the Opry.
He was banned from Nashville.
Sturgill does sound a little like Hank.
Yeah. Yep. He was banned from Nashville, and they told him he couldn't come back. So when he was the number one artist in the world and was banned in Nashville.
Yeah, right.
And they said you can't come in the Opry. So he goes in the Opry. He goes to the Opry and he gets in line like everybody else. And he had to take a shit. And they said he walked across the street, pulled his pants down, took a shit in the middle of the road, pulled his pants back up, got back in line. Hank Williams.
That's Hank Williams, man.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
See, that's the thing. Like, it really is a badge of honor to get banned from Nashville, I believe, Honey Badger. It really is. Like, I think that and I'm a big Jason Isbell fan, huge Jason Isbell, and he's got a song called Hope the High Road, about Nashville, basically. Like, just Nashville has historically tried to silence those country artists that want to do things differently than that Nashville sound, And I love the fact that Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit released an album titled The Nashville Sound.
Yeah.
Because it's making fun of it in a way, because I don't listen. I'm sure you don't either. You don't listen to the new Nashville stuff.
No, it's just pop music with a cowboy hat.
Right. 1,000%.
It's just created shit to try to make a dollar. They're all down there 24/7 trying to come up with the next hit song.
Right.
And a face for it. And, here's your cowboy hat.
Yeah,
the country music is, to me, now, some people probably disagree with this, but is the bluegrass music.
Yes.
That's the original stuff. That's what should be in Nashville and should be crowned. That's just, I'm from there. So I have no choice but to,
I have said that for a long time that regular country, honestly, any kind of music is Band-Aids and Neosporin, and bluegrass is surgery. Mm-hmm. It's so precise and so accurate, and so they're just the way that they play. Then every note is right. There is never an incorrect note in bluegrass. Ever. You never hear any bluegrass picker, any bluegrass solo, anything. You never hear him hit a sour note ever.
Bastards,
right? You never, but do you?
They're so good, man.
But you never hear bluegrass bands or bluegrass artists hit a sour note.
No, it's so weird. But yeah, it's that's what it was with me. I had bluegrass all around me all the time, and you grew up listening to that, and the old Hank style. The old, what is it, outlaw? That old outlaw music, the very first one, that's, along with that bluegrass outlawish. Yeah. That is the real stuff to me. Yes. This other stuff, man, it's just, it's made for people to go down here in Myrtle Beach and have a good time when they have the festival, which is cool. Whatever. That's their thing. But, a lot of musicians are shit on that should be put up there. Right. Yes. And I question certain things about Nashville now, but I've got a bunch of buddies that play with big time people. They're down there from my area, hometown. Yeah. And, they're making $300 and $400 a show, $300, something like that. And, just hired gun cop. You're making some of the same money. Right. As everybody else, and a lot of those guys are rock players, and they went down there to work.
Dude, those hired guns. Have you ever watched that documentary on Netflix? Yeah, man, those guys are monsters. Yeah. Like a lot of those people, and I didn't realize it until I watched things like Muscle Shoals or The Wrecking Crew or Hired Gun. When you realize that, and by the way, all of these documentaries are available on Netflix, and I invite you to watch them. Wrecking Crew, Muscle Shoals, and Hired Gun. Watch all three of those documentaries. Have you seen the Muscle Shoals one?
No.
Bro.
I haven't seen that one.
Bro.
Wait, is it on Netflix?
Yes. dude, please leave here tonight and go watch that. Dude, that's the one. But anyway, those guys, I didn't realize that most of those people are actually on the albums of all of these songs that everybody likes, and they think that it's the people that they went to see, in the concerts, and they're like, this doesn't sound like the record. Well, there's a reason, because they're not playing it.
Right. Well, back in the day, Nashville had an A-team.
Yeah.
And they played on every hit album.
Right.
And my cousin Hank Garland was he was the guitar player.
Yeah.
Played for everybody, Elvis, everybody. And that's kind of what they did. They get a core guys and use those guys, and then some of the bands would try to steal a member and take him out on the road, and that's kind of what screwed it up there a little bit. But a lot of people don't know that all the rock players in the '80s that were out in L.A., they're all in Nashville now, and they're all being what we're talking about. They're just backup guys to jump in and go, and heavy metal guys, people that's been famous. Yeah, exactly. They're in Nashville now, just backing somebody up.
Now those metal guys, that music is also like bluegrass, like that intricate sweep metal, like with sweeps and stuff like that. I can't do it. I can't do it or listen to it. Yeah, Yngwie, like stuff like that. Now that's like more surgical than the average music that you get.
Yeah. I've always been afraid of bluegrass, man. My uncle was really hardcore bluegrass player, and he was trying to get me into it and play. I like the singing part and stuff. I could sing with him and stuff, but man, if they start taking off, I'm an okay guitar player, but I get lost. Man, where y'all at?
Those things too. They use like a lot of open chords. Like it's easy to do scales up on the neck. Where you're having to use this finger as your bass.
Right.
But bluegrass, they use a lot of open chords, like down on the end of the neck, where it takes this finger it takes your index finger out of the equation, and those little
pull-offs.
Yeah, those things are like shit.
Mm-hmm. And they interest me very much. I want to play some of that stuff, and incorporate it into what I do.
Oh yeah.
Which is where you were talking about earlier, you don't listen.
Yes, I don't.
To music a lot, I did. I went back when I got on this YouTube thing and just started going back to all these songs from when I was a kid. What got me into it? Kiss and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Black Sabbath.
I was a huge Kiss fan, dude.
And I would just
huge Black Sabbath fan.
Just sit and do with the computer, which is much easier now. And if I miss a lick, I can just go to YouTube and some 10-year-old's already got it. Here's the way it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just sat there and just played until my brain about blew up.
The internet is the greatest teacher of all time.
Yeah. But
that did work out well for Jimmy Buffett, didn't it, Honey Badger? They ran him out of Nashville.
Like the Funk Brothers.
Yeah.
So, but I got to the point to where I was out doing road gigs. In the 90s, I was in like several bands that we did like we're showcase bands. We wore a different suit every night.
Yeah.
We played everything from Michael Jackson to Metallica. In a sense, whatever came on the radio, we played it the next night and stuff like that. So I went from this kid had hair down to my ass playing, metal, Priest and Maiden and all that shit, to being in a top 40 band. And this guy owned this music store, and they were in an agency, and they were traveling everywhere. He'd have other people run the store, and they would leave and go.
Yeah.
And I was in there one day, just playing my best little whammy bar licks, and Eddie Van Halen was really big at the time, and I was over there showing off.
Yeah.
And whatever. And he walks over, he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "You ever played in a band before, out on the road or anything?" I was like, "No." He goes, "Shoot, man, we got an opening, man. You might want to come with us." He said, I said, "What do y'all play?" He said, "Michael Jackson," and he started naming off all these top 40 songs. And I was just a kid, long hair, and I was like, "You never catch me fucking dead playing that shit."
Yeah.
I was giving this attitude, And he pulls this wad of money out of his pocket, and he says, "So you see this right here?" He said, "We made this last weekend. It's about $3,000 there." And that was when they were actually paying bands.
Dude.
Back in the 80s and 90s.
What's up, 7th Kevin?
And I was like, "Holy shit." He goes, "Look, man." He goes, you can go to these towns and you can play Michael Jackson. He goes, nobody there's going to know you. And you can come back with a pocket full of money. Nobody cares.
And play what you want. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I said, let me think about it. So I walked away. Next day I saw him. He hit me again. And I took off with him. And so all of that metal influence and then all of those influences I was playing like you guys do, or all the bands on the beach playing covers, you get all these different influences coming into you, whether you like them or not. You're playing the song for the audience, but they're subliminally going in your head, in your ear, just like the bluegrass did.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of created my original sound. I started getting my own thing, and I started seeing it, and I was like, holy shit. So that's when I stopped, just listening to other people. If I go out on the beach and they say, hey, man, you want to sit in? I'd say, yeah. I'll sit in, but here, let's do one of my tunes. And I would just give them the keys and just, take a chance, so I could play my own shit, and they like, hey, man, you got to pick something people know. And I was like, well, I know this.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of trying to force my way, you know what I mean? And, people like some of it or whatever, but it's crazy how you, as a musician, man, you start becoming an artist when you're creating, and people say, well, you're just trying to sound like this guy, or you're trying to sound like that guy. I could never really pinpoint what it sounded like. I would ask other people. I said, what did it sound like to you? And, you'd have your occasional Jimi Hendrix or Stevie Ray or Kiss, or you could hear my influences, but the majority of people would say, you sound like you.
Right.
And I was like, okay. So that told me I was like kind of on the right track with, whether it was going to be a hit or a disaster, that I did sound like me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing, man. You gotta. That's what you have to have. You have to have that if you're going to go far in this thing. You have to sound like yourself.
Right.
If somebody can put you in a bucket with another artist or another 5 or 6 artists, then you're diluted already. If you sound like yourself and you have that thing going for you, then that's how you can become successful.
Well, it's but it's coming from all those influences that I played that maybe I didn't like half of them.
Yeah.
Something out of each one of those is, going into what I'm creating. Right. And it's like weird, because I was saying, I didn't even like that shit, but it sounds cool.
Right.
So, okay, I'll record it. It's a new track. Click.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. Like for instance, I don't like country music or the new country music or any of that shit at all. Yeah. But that's right. Screwball whiskey, ladies and gentlemen. Going back in for whatever might be left. Any drop.
A corner
of a bottle.
That's saying a lot.
I can vouch for Steve Honey Badger. He's definitely more of a picker than a strummer, I would say. Do you feel that way?
Do I now?
Honey Badger asked if you're more of a strummer or a picker.
Well, I got a grandson named Strummer.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. That's awesome,
man.
Thank
you for bringing his name up. Wow. Yeah. I'm just a guitar player. A picker, to me, a picker is like
we're not a finger
like
picker.
The bluegrass guys in Nashville finger picking guys. There's a difference. So I'm a strummer.
Okay. I hear you.
I'm a strummer.
I think I am too. I think I am too, man. Now I know how to play leads and I do pretty well, but I feel like my strength is my rhythm guitar. Like I feel like that's my biggest strength is like guitar wise. Like I'm fair enough on leads, but there's I play a lot of acoustic stuff,
Oh, is that? Yeah, I mean, I'm both a picker and a strummer.
Yeah,
I have to be because everything that I'm recording, I'm doing myself. I'm doing the bass, the vocals, the guitars.
Yeah.
Attempt to do keyboards and I program the drums and sometimes go in the studio after it's done and take it and put a real drummer on it. Whoever's going to be with me or doing whatever next. It's kind of like I did with James Poindexter on this one video I did.
James is good.
I already had the drums in, And I was like, okay, you're going to be in the video. You got to be playing. So I took him down to some studio downtown near the tattoo joints. And
Jam City?
No, it was another cat that plays guitar. He was kind
Star?
He was kind of in a big band around here for a while. Shit, I can't remember his name. That's terrible.
No, I know Ed Dennis does a lot of stuff up in North Myrtle Beach. He's a very good friend of mine.
You know, if you go where all the tattoo bars on, where the strip bars
that's
are,
right. You didn't like the Seaboard.
It's like right in between two tattoo parlors.
I hear you.
I'll think the cat's name here in a minute, but I took James in there and recorded drums to that, and then we put that onto the master and just turned off the program drums. But on the one of them on the track that were going to be in the video, it just made sense to me, because the Milli Vanilli shit that's going around, everybody's singing with tracks, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a track Nazi, going around hating on people that does tracks, but
you got to do what you got to do if if that's your life,
especially if you're doing top 40 or whatever. But I would rather hear a live band.
Yep, same here.
I don't care if there's one person in the room or packed house. I'd rather sit there and watch
musicians.
The mystique.
You want to see it happen,
create itself. But tracks to me, they can help and they can also hurt you, because some people use those tracks, and if something goes wrong with the program and you're in the middle of a show and it goes
right,
it starts playing all this crazy shit, while you're in the middle of your show, all the thing you can do is hit something and turn it off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the only thing you can do, and everybody's looking at you going, what the fuck was that?
Right.
And then all of a sudden you've lost their attention.
It's that quick too, dude. It's that quick. All it takes is just a minute to lose somebody's attention, and I don't know, man. That's another reason why, just what I was saying earlier about playing original music, is people on average want to hear the same 12 songs. They want to hear the same 3 Skinnerd songs. They want to hear the same couple of Marshall Tucker songs. They want to hear the same Zac Brown songs. They want to hear the same Eric Clapton or whatever. They want to hear the same dozen or so songs that get recirculated on the radio. And I learned this in talking to Scott Mann.
It's mind control.
Yeah, well, dude, it really is. I mean, but they want to hear.
It's not what they really like. It's mind control.
But see, what we've been doing lately in Cornbread is the point to where I get that we're a cover band, and that's what we do, and that's sort of what we have to do to keep getting the nod, to keep getting the call back. But we like to do songs by those same bands that people love that they just forgot about. Like, if somebody wants to hear Skinnerd, we're not going to give you Simple Man or Sweet Home Alabama. We'll give you All I Can Do Is Write About It or Tuesday's Gone. And, those songs that are still, or when somebody asks for Can't You See, we might give them Fire on the Mountain instead, because it's a better song. And I like B-siders.
Yeah.
And I play what I like.
Well, see, if I hear one of the songs, I want to hear the whole side of the album.
Yeah,
because that's the way I listened to it. When it came out, I listened to the whole album, and then would flip it over on the turntable, listen to the second side as I'm reading all the credits and everything, whatever's inside of it. It's a gift,
right.
Just trying to figure it out. But it's kind of like, to me, the way that they recorded albums back then was like a story.
Right.
It's like one thing. And then when
that's how they intended you to listen to it.
Right. And then you go and you pick one of those and you pull it out and you play it in the club, and everybody goes, well, I want to hear that same song over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
The rest
play
of that,
Tennessee Whiskey.
Oh, God, man, that's probably the worst. That's probably the top, I want to say the word, the top number one song that has been driven into the ground more than
The Wagon Wheel?
Sweet Home Alabama.
I feel like
it's
that's my biggest
Alabama.
biggest qualm with country music these days is that they will take a great song. Don't get me wrong, Wagon Wheel, top notch songwriting. top-notch melody, great story, great song, great harmonies. That's actually the thing that I was going to say earlier, by the way, about country music. Is the one thing I give country music nod for is their harmonies.
Oh yeah,
the harmonies are beautiful, and I like to take that. But dude, I like to steal those things from certain types of music. When you were talking about things that you'll take from things that you might not necessarily like, I really like the country harmonies. They're beautiful, but the words are awful. But dude, yeah, the lyrics are garbage. Dude, they will take a song that is beautiful and great. Chris Stapleton's Tennessee Whiskey is one of the most beautiful recordings of that song. But fuck, I hate it because they will not stop playing it.
Well, there was a band Chris Stapleton was in before.
Steel Drivers.
Well, I knew Steel Drivers, but the Thompson Brothers. Oh my! Have you ever heard that? Man, it's fucking pure rock and roll, and he's the lead singer, and it is fucking killer. And nobody knows about him. You know, well, I'm sure people do, but not people that I talk to. Like we're talking right now. You should know.
They do now.
I would think you would know, but
I don't listen to a lot. So
told me, I understand it. So Chris Stapleton is a great singer, and what's happened with the Thompson Brothers? The Thompson Brothers. It's TH. I don't know how they pronounce it, but I guess Thompson Brothers. But it was like 70s foreigner, kind of a little heavier rock and roll music with him singing. And dude, it was like, holy shit.
Well, he's got that growl.
Every song, dude, is like, whoa.
See, that's what I love about Stapleton's voice. He's got that growl, that little bit of
Greg Allman,
that rasp, that growl, that bite in his voice, and I really like that. I really dig that a lot. He's a fantastic songwriter. He's a great songwriter, man. By the way, you got a water up there with some ice in it if you need that too.
I got something special right here.
I believe
I'm not going to say what it is. Yeah. It is what's left of this.
This is
Screwball peanut butter.
Screwball peanut butter whiskey, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, it's craziness, man. And then there's Hank 3.
Oh yeah, which you can't categorize him,
dude. His initial band with Buck on bass.
Yeah,
fuck, them dudes are, man. You want to go to a fucking Wild concert? Go to a Hank 3 show and get right on the barricade, about right in the middle, maybe 2 people back, 2 rows back.
Yeah.
Them motherfuckers are redneck as hell, kicking boots in the ground. I mean, it is on, and it's that energy is there, that
little. It's like something that is unstable.
It's not. Yeah, it is.
But it's unstable.
It's not bad.
It's like you don't know what's going to go on here. It's like stumbling upon radiation somewhere, and it's like, this doesn't look.
And him just thumping that doghouse and hitting it and standing up on top of it with a mohawk, and it's like, man, this is really crazy for Nashville. They want Hank's grandson to come and be Hank, the new modern day Hank, and he's like, fuck y'all, I'm not doing that. They found a bunch of Hank's old music that hadn't been released.
Yeah. And
gave it to him and said, hey, we'll give you this big deal if you'll just come in here and wear your granddaddy's outfit and sing his songs. He was like, fuck
not that. You don't understand what Hank Williams means.
Yeah. He started to do it, though. There was a couple of shows that he was on where he did a couple of the songs and dressed up.
Yeah.
It was one of the country guys. He's got his own show, Marty Stewart. It was on his show, and it was fucking unreal.
He sounds just like. Yeah. Doesn't he do that anyway, though? Doesn't he come out and do the first set? He'll come out and do his granddad songs like his granddad, but then he'll take a set break and they'll come back out and they'll do the same exact set list.
Yeah.
But do it his way.
Yeah, they'll fucking do thrash. It goes into punk, man. It's different, and but it still has. I'm a metal player from the old days.
Oh yeah,
and a rock player, so I understand that push.
Oh, yeah. Me too. But that's how I started.
But what's very similar to that, when you were saying about the picking too a while ago, is the metal and the bluegrass have the same energy.
Yeah, right.
It's like, it's like right in your face.
It's like the difference between Adderall and meth. It's like there's only tiny differences, but they're the same thing.
I've never done meth, so never done Adderall either. I drank some
Screwball whiskey.
peanut butter whiskey, though.
Tomorrow's stories begin right here.
I wouldn't give that to a girl, by the way.
Why is it too dangerous?
It's too sweet, and they would drink too much of it. It's too good. It's good. It's good. Get your girlfriend in trouble. You'd have to take her, take her home. Get a taxi.
Uber. Get an Uber these days.
Uber is the best thing that ever happened.
Dude, you're talking about metal. I got Number of the Beast on the under the needle over there right now.
My mom, dude, I was a Kiss fan. I was a Kiss fan when Kiss was as big as Elvis. People don't understand. They look at Kiss now and they'll go, oh, but I was there.
Yeah.
We're selling all this product, the dolls and
they were marketing geniuses.
Yeah, we're selling everything, shoestrings.
Yeah.
And I used to go buy those bubble gum cards that would have all their pictures in them, And my mom was a holy roller. She had the beehive hair, the dress. And
don't you bring that devil music in this house?
Kings and Satan service,
Yeah.
Anything she found, and it wasn't just her, it was her, my aunt, and my cousins, mother and stuff. They were headhunters, that Kiss shit, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Devil music.
I owned the Kiss collection probably 10 times because they broke it and busted it up, put it in the damn drawers.
I did the same thing in 7th grade at church. I destroyed all of my Kiss music. I destroyed all of my Kiss CDs at like church burnings, like CD burnings.
You were there and did that? Which album did you burn?
Dude,
Don't say Rock and Roll Over.
No, man, all of them. I had Rock and Roll Over, but I was big. I didn't understand albums back then. So, I was like double platinum and
Kiss Alive 2.
Yeah, like stuff like that, live shows and greatest hits and stuff like that. Like I was that guy.
Live shows was the big deal back then.
Yeah, man, that was the thing that got me on them was just seeing them, just him come out with that giant sword, flaming sword, and just pitch it into the ground and then spit fire out of his mouth. Dude, I was obsessed with that. Like, because I grew up in a very Christian home too, man, and just. I remember the first time I heard Black Album, Metallica, and I was like, this is evil, and I like it. Like, this is evil, and I like that. And even to this day, I'm still obsessed with just evil stuff. Like, just things that it's like untouchable almost when you grow up like that. Like, I watch The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix because they're like talking about Satanist church and shit. Like, I don't know why I love that stuff. And I'm a Christian, I'm I keep my spirit
I am too,
in a good spot, but I just like evil shit, man.
I have too, forever. And so I can't get my phone to work, but anyway, yeah, it's that note. It's that one note Sabbath used. Down, down.
In which one?
Like the song Black Sabbath. Boom.
Oh,
down,
yeah.
Down. It's that note right there. Somebody said it was fucking banned in the 1300s or 1400s or something. That was the devil's note. So flatted fifth. But so. Oh no! What's going on here? I think I caused a problem.
Is it me? I know I had somebody trying to get a hold of me a while ago.
The flatted fifth. But yeah, it was crazy, man, because it didn't matter what I bought with Kiss or how little it was, how big it was. My mom would find that shit. It was just like automatic. She'd walk in and say, "Oh, I see this Kiss album right here." Boom, it'd be broke, thrown in the garbage.
They don't understand. They don't understand that that's how you create fans.
Yeah.
That's how you make people want to listen to it.
Well, it's just like Ozzy. Ozzy had bitten the dove off the bat, the head off the dove, and ate the bat, all this stuff, and that news media just blew up. Now, this was before social media, and we only had a newspaper and news in the afternoon and news at night, and that was it. That's the only time you ever heard it, okay? and it was blowing up.
It was free publicity
It was
for
like
them.
boom, blowing up, and so they got on that big thing. I don't think they ever had the Kiss burning, or I think they went up and protested. My mom didn't, but some of those church people went up and protested like Freedom Hall when Kiss came and when Ozzy came.
Yeah.
When Ozzy came, I had a priest try to buy my ticket back from me for $30, and it only cost me $5 to see Ozzy.
Really?
Yeah, it was like $8, $6, something like that. But yeah, she would destroy anything I got my hands on. So when the Kiss solo albums came out, you could get them for $2. They put too many of them out thinking it was just going to be a big deal, and they didn't sell them all. So they marked them down in all the stores like $2 for each solo artist. Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter. So I talked my brother into going down to Woolworths and buying the Ace Frehley and the Gene Simmons, and I would get the Ace and he would get the Gene. And I told him, he was only 5. I was like, you gotta watch it. As soon as we walk in the door, Mom sees that, she's gonna break it.
Yeah.
So
who doing that? That's
so we go down to the Woolworths and we buy the 2 albums. And we come back, and I run in there real quick, and I had a piece of sheetrock busted behind my bunk bed.
You slide it in there.
And I started sliding stuff back in there, and I was like, damn, these albums won't fit. So what I did is I started trading them in for 8 tracks. Got me a little 8 track.
Oh,
those
dude.
8 tracks would fit in there real good, and she'd never found them, But as soon as we walked in the door, she goes, hey, Scotty, what did you do with your $5? He goes, look, Mom, I bought the new Gene Simmons solo album. And there he was. He looked like the demon with the blood coming off his face. Mom just grabbed that thing, went bam, right over her knee. And my brother started crying. I'll never forget that.
Oh, man. Does he still listen to Kiss?
Well, I mean, yeah, he listens to just about everything that we grew up listening to.
Yeah.
But
that's how you create fans, man. Like even the same thing with people getting silenced on like YouTube and social media, and like people being taken off and their channels silenced.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, dude. You know who's one of the biggest persons and people in the world right now is Alex Jones, because he's been silenced. It's almost like being validated.
Yeah, he's been silenced. A lot of people, I could be king right now, or you. And everything you do is cool. Motherfuckers want to be around you.
Yeah.
You draw a crowd. But as soon as you do something that's not cool and you lose your kingdom, your power, your king power, people go, pew. And a lot of people are doing that with him. I understand that he may say something media-wise and just out of the fucking blue just to piss somebody off or just picking at him or whatever. But having your own opinion in this country is still legal as fuck.
Right.
And he can't even have his own opinion. But you can have a transgender on Facebook. That video's cool, all right, with a transgender sitting there with the kindergarten kids talking to him about what the hell's wrong with them.
Yeah.
But they're gonna cut Alex Jones out, and I'm like, wait a minute now, because that's not normal either.
Right now, have you?
Some people it is, but some people it ain't.
Yeah. Now we were talking earlier. About podcasts. Do you listen to a pretty good bit of podcasts at all?
I do. I listened to quite a bit of Alex Jones stuff. I was a follower for a while. I listened to Rogan. I listened to all those cats.
Now, did you listen to the episode of Rogan with Tim Pool and Jack Dorsey and from Twitter, the Twitter guy?
What was the topic?
They were talking about Twitter. It was Joe Rogan did an interview with Jack Dorsey, who is who started Twitter. He's the founder of Twitter. And the people kept saying, okay, well, why are they silencing right-leaning people and allowing left-leaning people to just get away with all of these different things that they're doing? And Rogan got a lot of backlash from that, like not pressing enough of the topic that the fans wanted to hear. So he had them back with a guy named Tim Pool, who is just... Tim Pool is a guy that you need to follow on social media if you don't. He basically knows all of the ins and outs and has specific situations in where they have silenced a page on Twitter of somebody who had an opinion that isn't supported on whatever their platform is or whatever they've got going on. So he doesn't like lean right or left or anything. He's just all for equality. He wants everything to be exact. If we want equality in this situation, then it has to be equal for everyone.
No division.
Right.
No division. I mean, there's things that I think are wrong and things that I think are right, which are all my opinion.
Yes.
Okay. But if you want to go and take that broom and ride it to work and pretend you're a witch, I don't give a fuck.
Right, exactly.
That's whatever floats your boat. Just don't come over and tell me that you can actually fly on the broom when you can't.
Yeah,
I don't care.
And you know what? I don't even care. I don't even care if you have the mentality to where you believe you can fly on a broom. That doesn't matter to me. I just don't want to. I don't want you to make me feel like I also need to accept. And like, I'll accept you for whoever you are.
Right.
But I'm not going to practice that in my life. Like,
you get judged lot by people that think that way. They'll say equality, and all this stuff. But, well, fuck you.
Exactly.
There's no equality in fuck you. I'm sorry.
Right. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, there is no equality in the fact that if you're going to pull these set of laws out to be followed, then we all have to follow them. Mm-hmm. We can't pick and choose what we want to build any narrative that we want.
It's kind of like the kid when you were little that got pissed off and run off with his ball.
Yeah.
If shit didn't go his way.
Right.
And, there's a lot of people who hate Donald Trump. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for fucking nobody. Because I have my opinions.
I didn't either.
About
I didn't like
things.
any of them. I didn't vote for anybody.
Well, if I was a liberal, I would have voted for
Gary Johnson.
No, the redheaded guy. He was on the first panel of the Democratic Party. He's a constitutionalist, Jim Webb.
Okay,
believes in the Constitution, hardcore Irish Constitution believer. But he's a Democrat. I would have voted for him.
Yeah.
If I was a vote, people say, well, you voted for Donald Trump. I said, I didn't vote for no damn body, dude. You don't know. Well, you're a conservative. And I said, no, I'm American.
Right.
You have chosen what you are.
Right.
You've been divided, but I haven't.
Exactly.
I'm over here going, okay, I know how this country started, and we have documents and stuff to prove it. And I'm pretty much behind that right there, hanging on your wall. Yeah, I'm behind that.
Right.
And I don't care if you identify yourself to have 3 dicks, and or whatever it is, or you can fly on the broom.
Right.
Or whatever. As long as you're with that Constitution, I'm cool.
Exactly.
I'm cool. But as soon as you go against that, then usually, back then they called that treason.
Right.
Yeah. For a reason.
treason for a reason.
Yeah, treason for a reason, But
oh yeah, I'm with that for sure.
Yeah, I'm for everybody having their own thing and doing what they love, and as long as it doesn't hurt someone else, in the process. And you can hurt people when you single them out and you don't include them because you're in a group. Okay,
right.
If you claim, hey, equality, but you're in this group, and then they go, oh, well, he's not. He voted for Trump. Get out of here. Okay, there's something wrong there.
Yeah,
somebody's lying their ass off about something. Here, you got to come together as one. And there's only one time I've ever seen that happen, and that was 9/11. 9/11. It didn't make a fuck who you were, what color you were. If you were,
dude,
if you thought you were a cat.
September 12th, 2001 was probably
intense. It was an intense.
I remember. I was just September 12th, 2001. We were more together as a country than we have ever been. Mm-hmm. And it just seems like the people who are just running this country into the ground. And I'm not speaking on a certain group of people, because it's not a certain group of people. It's a lot of people who are running this country into the ground, or trying to. And it seems like those people are not going to rest until we have another tragedy, another attack, another disaster to bring us together like that one. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's necessary. That many people shouldn't have to die to wake up the world to thinking like, listen, we're all in this shit together.
Right.
We can't be we can't be the country. And I'm not, I know that I have a lot of listeners who are, and a lot of fans who are, but I'm not, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but I'm already in it, so I'm not a Trump guy. I'm not. I wasn't a Hillary guy.
That's cool.
I wasn't a Gary Johnson guy. I'm not a government guy.
Me either.
I don't think it's that. I mean, I understand why we have to have some of it, but I'm not a big government guy, and it's just not necessary for me in my mind. But to want the person who is currently driving this bus to drive off a cliff, that we are all on the bus.
Gotta be on the bus.
We are all on the bus, man. We can't want this guy who's driving the bus to drive off the cliff. And it seems like there's too many people who are just looking for any reason.
They're looking for a reason just to derail it don't matter. Oh, well, he doesn't, he's not for this, or oh, he's not for that, or he's not, it doesn't matter. They have done set their mind, just like the old grandma and grandpa when they got set in their ways. That was it.
Right.
It's kind of like that. And but they're over here preaching equality and don't be mean to people, but they're attacking him with every axe that they fucking got.
Right.
And I'm looking at that. That's what I'm looking at. I'm going, no. I'm for the Constitution. Step the fuck back. This is our country. We come together as people. We're brothers. We help each other. And when we're, if they're going to invade us, then we have to stand together.
Yes.
Or there is no whatever you're into.
Well, now I'll go a step further. I'll go a step further and say that the Constitution, and we might not like it, you might not like it, but the Constitution protects the people who want to burn flags in the streets.
Yeah,
it protects those people. Those people who are fighting wars to keep America free, they're keeping America free so that people have the freedom to do stupid shit like that if they want to. And not only that, people come into this country, whether they're doing it illegally or not, are basically doing what the founding fathers of this country did. They're ending up, well, not the founding fathers, but the founding fathers' grandparents and great-grandparents came to this country and took it from the people who were already here. So in my opinion, how is what they're doing differently than the people who are coming to the country now to seek a better life?
So this is a good conversation because I get this all the time, and this is a perfect opportunity for me to talk about it. You just brought up something that people use all the time.
Yeah.
They came here and they took it from the people. So we're talking about the Indians, right?
Right.
Okay. So since we're on this thingy, I heard your last podcast talking about the ancestry stuff.
Right.
Well, I've been doing it since about 2006. And I got pretty good at it. I could probably be a genealogist. I've had newspaper articles written about my family and what I found and all that stuff. Got really good with it. Went back and found two grandfathers, fifth grandfathers that were majors under George Washington. And found out that both sides of my mom and dad's family had came here with all of that, the beginning of it. The one grandfather signed the original Declaration of Independence 4 years before the one we celebrate now.
Damn.
My fifth grandfather was the trustee with the pen in his hand that actually wrote it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he was the one that was the major under George Washington. So I found all this stuff, and this is at Sycamore Shoals in Tennessee, where I'm from. Which is at the Watauga Fort, was where all this stuff went down. You always hear people go, "Oh yeah," you'll see an influx of people just fucking hating Donald Trump on Facebook.
Yeah,
and then out of the blue will come the Indian thing, and they took the land from the Indians.
Yeah,
or whatever it is, that their little Mimi says, And I look at it and I'm like, they don't know, because what I've learned about people is their attention span is very small.
Yes.
It's just like the audience we were talking about. Once you lose somebody,
they're gone.
It doesn't matter if they're sitting in front of you. They're done listening
Yeah.
to you, okay? And I can see it as soon as it happens,
Yeah.
and then I change the subject and go on.
Right.
And I'm sure anybody else does
yeah,
that
for
too.
sure.
They just don't know it. But the Indian thing. So my seventh great grandfather was a Tulakula. Okay, he was the chief of the Cherokee Nation that sold the land. He initiated the Transylvania purchase, the Watauga purchase. Do you know what those are?
I'm familiar with Watauga County up in North Carolina and all that shit.
That's where I'm from. 20 million acres, the Cherokee, which the 5 civilized tribes, which is basically in one called the Iroquois.
Yeah.
Okay, they sold 20 million acres of land to the white man. Okay, that's what the Transylvania purchase and the Watauga purchase is. It is the actual document.
Transylvania, North Carolina, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and some of that turned into Tennessee. That's where Tennessee
Yeah.
came from. Which my fifth grade uncle named Tennessee. So had something to do with John Sevier fighting against trying to sell it to the Spaniards.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, basically what I found out was, my family was involved in both of those things. They were there within 200, 300 people. So, and they lived there from, until I was born in the same area. So I started going back and looking at the records that weren't destroyed during the Civil War because most courthouses were burned to the ground.
Right.
And all documents were gone except for Watauga and Carter County. Sullivan County got burnt. But those were my family's lived, and I was able to find all this shit. I was like, holy shit, man, my people was hanging with Daniel Boone. And I'm like, that's fucking cool. So I started getting all, somebody picked up on me searching and leaving comments. And I'm like, hey, we know who your family is. We've already got to run back. You need to check this out.
Yeah.
So I went and looked, and I started getting all these documents like, Sons of the Revolution, which is proof. And you have to have documentation to prove that. You can't go, oh, my grandma said, that my great-great-great-grandfather was an Indian, or he was a major for, the cause, and get this certificate. It says, oh, you're sons of the American Revolution. You have to have a document all the way down from him to you.
Yes.
Or you can't get it. It's authentic.
Oh,
So a lot of times when they start saying stuff about certain things in history and that I have run up on myself only because I was looking for my family and who I was and where I was from, I'm like, these motherfuckers don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
And I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying their attention span is about that far. And
they don't do the research to find out what.
Well, in school, I sucked at everything but history.
Oh, yeah.
I loved history class. And for some reason, it just
I didn't mind history.
It got my attention,
Yeah.
And I always like to look at the pictures, And but here's the thing, and I'm not trying to be mean to anybody that thinks that the white man had the big powerhouse army when they came to the United States and took over and invaded the Cherokee.
Yeah.
No, it was the other way around. When they came here, they met, and there was a conflict immediately. One of the conflicts was the language. They couldn't understand each other. So if somebody said, "Hey, give me a cigarette," and you gave them a beer, they'd be like, "No, no, no." They don't. There's a misunderstanding right off the bat. So, and then there was some pockets of fighting and this and that. But what they found out was the Cherokee were fucking badasses. They were.
Right.
They had their own warfare. Guerrilla warfare is what they call it now. That came from the Indians. That whole thing came from the Indians. When the British, when our people came here and left, they were fighting they would get in a row in a line all together and march together and start shooting. The Indians would surround you. And that fucked them up. They didn't know.
Yeah.
That's how we won the revolution on Kings Mountain. That's how we won Kings Mountain is because the mountain men surrounded them, was fighting them like Indians.
Yeah, they thought I do know that about historical battles, about how stupid historical battles had to be, just because so many unnecessary people had to die.
Yeah, because they were just standing there.
I'm coming in my line. Don't get in my spot. Like that ain't what war's about.
So anyway, at this Fort Watauga, my seventh grandfather, which was the seller, and there was some other chiefs there.
Yeah,
met my sixth grandfather, Charles Robertson, which was the signer of the first Declaration of Independence and the signer of the Transylvania Purchase and the Watauga Purchase. He was the treasurer.
Yeah.
They sold the land. We signed the documents. The land was ours. It was the white man's. Okay? Indians sold it. Okay, there was a bunch of tribes in the Iroquois tribe that made up. They weren't all Cherokee. There were different tribes, but it was Iroquois.
Yeah.
Okay? And basically, some of those people in those tribes did not fucking like what had went down. That the chief actually sold the land.
Yes.
Okayed it. So one of them was
without their permission, basically.
Well, it wasn't. They didn't have any say so. It was just this is what's going to happen from the chief, and they had to go along with it.
Yeah.
Okay, but they didn't like it.
Right.
Okay, so they were against it. One of them was my sixth grandfather dragging canoe. You can read all about this it's online. It's pretty well known. Which is my point. Why people should really go in and look at some of this stuff before they make a statement, because the land was actually sold. So so what happened was Dragon Canoe took his braves and started killing the settlers in Tennessee, all around Chattanooga. If you go to Chattanooga and go up there, you'll see Lookout Mountain, and you'll see all these signs to the Indian battleground.
Yeah.
Chief Doublehead. Well,
great Indian warrior Falling Rock.
Yeah.
Who is still out there, and you have to watch for him.
Well, Chief Doublehead was my grandfather, sixth grandfather. Okay, so this is all the same line of Indians. Okay, so he started killing all the settlers. Well, George Washington was writing him letters. Please, we have this treaty. We have this sale purchase. There
wasn't an internet where it could be posted for everybody to see that this was done.
Yeah, they would just send a horseman with a letter, to the area, and then
written in a language they didn't understand.
And then the Indian trader would take the thing and go to the Indians and talk to them. It wasn't like the officials. It was the guy who was buying their furs and selling them furs and selling them this and that. Whiskey. Okay, then you have. The Iroquois Nation, which is from Maine to Florida,
right?
Okay, getting handed whiskey and guns by the British. The British was giving them arms. All these early settlers were coming into America. Very few, not a lot, just a pockets of people. And you had a whole East Coast of Indians being given guns and whiskey by the British.
Oh man, what?
America. You're telling me
America.
You're telling me the white man took it from the Indians.
That's how I've always heard it. That's how I've always believed it. Is just that the Indians had this nice little, this whole continent basically to themselves, and we came over and basically convinced them. That we convinced them in a way, basically duped the Indians into giving up their lands, and then we didn't exactly come through on our end of the bargain completely. That's how
What happened was they kept sending the letters. Please stop killing the people. Please stop killing the people. We have legally bought the land. We have a treaty. But these young warriors that were misbehaving. And basically, mutiny against the chief, were killing the people. Killed John Severe's family. You can read all about it, man. They were a doublehead. See, the Cherokee had a war tribe called the Chickamauquan, and that's what I am, Chickamauquan. So they would go around. They would do the battles. They were like the army for the Cherokee Nation.
Yeah.
And Doublehead was their chief. He was their commander. So he had them killing every fucking body. And so finally, Jackson came along, and it was still going on. They couldn't stop it. These brutal Indians that just kept the settlers at bay for all the way up until Jackson's presidency.
Yeah.
And he said, "Fuck this. We paid them for the land. They're attacking us. They're killing us." And now it's caused a rift between both sides. Now we're doing stupid shit to them too. Okay, because it's a big deal. And he starts hauling them off on the Trail of Tears. That's the true story of what happened. That's exactly what happened. So The Indians were no pushovers whatsoever. They could not contain them. They were cannibals. They would kill your family, and if you were somebody like a general or something like that, they would chop you up and eat you in front of the other braves to show power. Yeah, and my grandfather was one of the people that did that. You know, it's like I told my oldest son, he's far left, him and his wife, and they're into all that stuff. That's whatever. But he wanted to go on about the Indian thing, and I told him, I said, you know what? Your seventh grandfather was a cannibal. He ate people.
Yeah.
He's like a Jeffrey Dahmer. And you're complaining about this little shit over here?
Yes. Now that's the thing. That's another thing too that I wasn't aware of, is that there was like, I wasn't aware that there was an actual purchase of anything.
Yes.
I've never heard that before. But I still just feel like folks, and back to my original point, is I just feel like that folks who are coming to this country to make a better life for themselves, then I don't see anybody doing the America thing better than someone who wants to come to this country to make a better life for themselves. If these people want to come over here to take advantage of our kindness as a nation, they want to come over here and take advantage of or do us harm, I have a huge problem with that. I love America.
Well, do you when you go to bed night?
Yes.
Do you open the front door and leave it wide open and go to sleep?
Negative.
There's all you need to know. It's all it is, really. You know,
I do not. And I understand the border situation, the open border situation.
You have to know,
I understand that.
You have to know who you're letting in your home.
Yes.
You know, you got to know,
right,
or have some kind of gut feeling, hey, maybe I shouldn't trust this person. I'm not being mean to him, but hey, this guy could be a bad guy. He could be, and that's exactly where the cops approach everybody.
Oh, for sure.
You know, because they're getting shot.
This is where we get to the point, though, where is home? Is home this plot of land that we have, or is home Earth in itself? Because these people are already on the Earth. These people are already here.
Well, you know, I was talking about, you know, my family came from the Carter County area. We came from Wales.
Yeah.
I descend from a Welsh king, prince. My Blevins name, the Blevins name is very rare. She said she knew somebody named Blevins. It's going to be in Kentucky. It's going to be in Tennessee. It's going to be in those areas because that's where they settled when they came here.
I got a pretty rare name too.
Yeah. Yes.
Not a lot of Hudgins. Not a lot of people know a lot of Hudgins.
If you take it back, you're going to find probably Scottish or Irish or something.
Yeah.
Or even Norwegian or something like that. It'll descend from another name. It'll come from another name that was
Hutchinson,
Anglicized or whatever they call it. But just so people don't think that I'm throwing up a bunch of bullshit, and you even said you didn't know that about the treaties.
Yeah, I didn't. Know that at all.
I represented my sixth great grandfather, Charles Robertson, in the play called Liberty. It happens at Fort Watauga every year. I played him in the Purchase. I dressed up and did the whole thing. And
that's pretty badass.
I'll show you. It was done in front of the governor in Tennessee. It's the state's official drama.
Okay.
It's the first time I ever acted. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had this role, I had to play, and things I had to say.
They just tell you everything, right?
I had these cards. I had these little cards, and I had to, what I did was I recorded what happened at practice. Recorded it, and then I went home and read my cards when I was supposed to talk and did it over and over and over and over until I got it. It was like probably worse than learning a song, man. It was way worse. Because I was just like, oh my God, here I am.
Yeah.
I'm acting. So my cousin told me, he said, hey, man, just be yourself. Be who you are and just say the words.
Oh, right. Yeah. For sure.
It's because you're representing your blood, so you may actually favor him. You just go natural about it. I was like, okay. So it made me feel more comfortable.
Right.
But anyway, that play is the documentation of the land sale. That's what that is. It's what happened. What I just told you. It is the drama about that. And then us going to Kings Mountain.
Obviously based on a true story.
Based on everything that's written just like that.
Yes.
That's hanging on your wall right there. It's based off the old documents, and I know most of them to be true because my family was involved in it.
Oh, yeah.
So when people talk about the Indian thing, I'm like, They didn't take nothing from the Indians. Indians was fucking people up.
Yeah.
They was
now what year?
It's like me and you going over to Africa and walking into the jungle, and then dudes, they got their little blow darts and shit. We don't know what the fuck's going on. We're high or drunk, and we're walking in there, and the next thing, and you're captured.
Yeah.
That
now
was
I'm
the
wondering.
Indians.
And now, do you know what year that was that happened?
That what happened?
The treaty that was like early 1700s.
It was 17. I want to say 17. I have to look it up. 1730s.
Now
something like that.
That's the thing that I'm getting at is that because we were slowly bringing people over and slowly immigrating from the 1500s on up into the 1700s. So there was like 200 years of literally thievery, I believe, going on from people coming over here, just from literally the rumors of there's more land over here that we can utilize whenever Columbus got back to France. And just knowing that from the 1500s to around probably mid 1700s when there was an actual dollar amount, which by that point would have been a form of maybe restitution or a form of something like
money was goods like land, food, cows, slaves. There was all kinds of things that were in the trade,
right?
Which is another subject. Just real quick, if you did not have money back then, there's no fancy word for it. You could have been a slave.
Yeah.
I looked one of my best friends back in JC. I looked his ancestry up, black family, all the way back into slavery, and they had money. Had pictures of them and everything. Yeah. I'm like, what's up with that? How's that happen right there? So there's some truths not being told in that whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm looking at that for what Ancestry does is they go out to all of these counties. And they microtape and film all marriage records, death records, birth records, documents like that have been written into stone from that have been in these courthouses for years.
Yeah.
Okay, and they'll go and they'll microfilm everything. And
I've messed around with Ancestry a bit.
And then they sell it to you. That's what they're doing. They're selling you proof of your ancestry.
Well, you could go get all of these things for free if you wanted to take the time to go to all these places. It's just a compilation.
You can do it yourself,
they just compile it all in one place for you to find.
But what's crazy is you will run up on history. Okay, let's say you look yours up.
Yeah.
And you find some famous person like I did that just happened to have something to do with what was going on.
Yeah.
You can find things that happened like back then. The law was the church. So if you went out here and they saw you drinking in the street, being disorderly, they would call you out in church when you went to church. They didn't send the cops after you. They'd embarrass you in church.
A lot of y'all still do that today, ain't it?
Because everybody went to church.
A lot of y'all out there still doing that shit.
So but it's pretty interesting how people look at things, and I think, they say if you want to do great in life, get an education, go to college and learn. I happen to think that you should look your own ancestry up, find out who you are, do your own DNA, see what it says before you open your fucking mouth.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's
because you're going to
100%.
Find out some shit. You're going to be like, damn. That's kind of important, but that's not. I'm protesting that, but that's how
then again, in the same breath, like I don't think that, I don't think that the son or daughter of a serial killer is gonna like be too concerned with
Charles Manson.
Yes, I don't think that Charles Manson's kids are going to be too proud of their dad, and just because you come from something like that, if you, like for instance, if I'm saying that I feel like I have a pretty good bit of Cherokee. My great grandfather was full blood Cherokee. Cool. So I'm probably a 16th, maybe more because of the other side I'm not really too familiar with, but I know for a fact my one granddad is full blood. My great granddad was full blood Cherokee, and Like I could look back and find all of these things that just say your ancestor was a cannibal.
They all
Like
were.
that's not gonna
Do you know
make
why
you
they?
a cannibal,
Do you know
right?
why they did it? You know why they ate the people in front
Probably
of
because
the?
they didn't want to they were resourceful. They didn't want
No,
to let
in
any
front
meat
of the
go to
young
waste.
braves that were trying to show them that they were powerful when they ate the enemy.
Yeah.
They would
But I
kill
still
them.
believe that there was probably
The
a
young
good bit
braves
of
are
resource in that, like resourcefulness.
Young braves would be sitting there going, "Holy shit," and they're going, "This is how they were teaching them, "This is how you got to be."
Yeah.
They would, you're sitting there eating somebody's, nose or something. You're a young brave. You're like, he's eating that guy's nose. There's an effect.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Drama.
That'll freak out a lot of people for sure.
Yeah, but the history thing is really cool because I guess what I'm getting at is if you find something, the first thing a genealogist will tell you is, okay, we're going to go down this road. You've paid me $1,500 to $2,000 to trace you back to the. I want you to understand. You're going to give your DNA. You're going to do all that.
Yeah.
There may be something come up that you don't really like.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that. Are you okay with that before we start?
Oh, for sure. Well, you have to be,
Because you could be related to Charles Manson. You could have a brother or sister out there that's been looking for you their whole life. And as soon as you did that DNA and sent it off, boom, they found you.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, some people go, ooh, I don't want to do that, But to me, that's your blood. And,
right.
And they've spent their life trying to find you. I would be like, hey, how you doing?
But now,
brother,
what if brother or sister is convicted child molester?
That is very.
I know that's like so far fetched to think, but like it's like I understand the whole that is my blood thing, and this is who I'm supposed to be.
Okay, well then that creates a different. It's a curveball.
Yeah, 100%.
So then you go, okay, I want to know more about this person, but now I got to keep some distance.
Yeah. So basically, what I mean is
process how I want to handle this.
Yeah, for sure.
Could be anybody. You could have been Elvis Presley's son, and you didn't know.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Or any of these rock stars that were traveling in the '80s. These kids are up. Some of those people are probably kids of rock stars.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
and it's been lied. They've been lied to their whole life. About who they are. Well, you're going to find shit.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, what you will find along with this is documentation of history and what's going on. What happened to this person? Yeah. I've got my third grandfather's information when he was in the Civil War. And this is what they did. They could have walked across the street and joined the rebel forces.
Right.
But they saw a kid put up on a tree stump and sold like a pig, which was his words. He said, and they weren't for that.
Oh, yeah.
So they walked from there all the way to Knoxville, which was 100 miles, to join the Union at Strawberry Plains. I've got the documentation.
That's pretty neat. Those stories are
That's East
good.
Tennessee. They were probably the very first to get invaded by the North. They were probably all rebel Confederate soldiers before the North hit because it was right on the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
So as soon as North came down and they won, it was either join or die. You join us or we're going to kill you. So, the majority of my family in that era, in that time, were Union. And what's crazy is I traced 32 people, and they all made it back except for one. I have a third grandfather that is buried in the Chattanooga National Cemetery that was a private or whatever in the Union Army, died in the Civil War. So not only did I lose a grandfather in the Civil War, he was Union. Okay, so he was supposedly fighting against slavery, which is there's a lot of speculation on what.
Because I've heard so many different stories on that. Is that the war was started because they wanted to keep slaves but the southern states were trying to fight against that. We're trying to fight against like, oh shit,
here's a good question for you. How many slave owners do you think there was in the South?
Oh, dude, I knew that there were a lot more slave owners in the North.
Okay, but in the South, do you think that every man owned a slave?
No.
Do you think every family or farm owned a slave?
No.
Do you think it's like right now that only some people are fortunate to have money?
Right now?
I'm talking about money. I'm not talking about me and you going to work every day and we got some money in the bank and we're good.
You're talking about like being born into it.
Yeah, born into it. There's people right now that are born into money.
Yeah.
Some of those family lines go all the way back through that.
Right.
Okay. But it's a very small percentage of people.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the way the slave owners were. Everybody else was poor.
Yes.
When the war happened, they were fighting to keep what they had.
Right.
The North said, "We're coming. We're going to burn your house down." They raped the women.
Right.
Sherman's
That's right.
March, they raped the women. They killed people. They did ruthless things in the name of. Okay.
Yes.
So again, here we are. We're all talking about. Oh well, we need to be kind to everybody. It's okay for them to kill and rape and pillage, but these people down here flying this flag that can actually shoot it by itself. It can shoot a gun. The Confederate flag can shoot a gun. It can actually pull the trigger. But I have an issue with that. It's like one is okay to do it, but one can't. One can, but one can't. One side can be racist, but one side can't because of history. But this side can, and I'm like, no. We can't fix this unless we all come together as one, like we did on 9/11. Yes, brother.
Yeah.
Let's. They are threatening us.
Equality is equality. Equality is equality. Like it should be, and I'm for equality. I think that we should all be created. We should all be treated equally. I think that everything goes in with that. Everything goes. The
patriotism that happened. I don't give a rat's ass how liberal you are or far over the left fence or right fence you are.
Yeah.
On 9/11. When that shit happened, it scared the fuck out of you.
Everybody. Oh yeah.
Everybody was going, "What?"
Well, it was me because I was in high school, and just being I was a freshman in high school, and just seeing how the grown-ups reacted to what was going on really freaked me out as a younger kid.
It was a feeling of uneasiness. Okay, what's going to happen now? Because that was what the news was putting out there. What's going to happen now? Oh my God, this is happening.
It was just sitting and waiting.
It was almost like this is the very beginning of the end of the world. Type thing, So it got everybody's attention. But at that point, whether it was a month later or 2 months later or whatever, people started creating groups. They started coming together. They started standing up for us. Okay, who's trying to kill us? That's the unity that everybody's talking about.
Right.
That's it. There it is. We all came together right then.
Exactly.
It's the only time I've ever seen it other than the Revolutionary War.
And see, there was no resolution after the 9/11 thing. There was no resolution. Like with the Revolutionary War, we got to an end point. We got to the point that we were trying to get to, right? We you can call it success or whatever you want to call it. We ended something came to an end. It seems like this ever since 2001, ever since 9/11, it seems like something has started and we are just
it's like the
end keeps getting further and further away.
But it seemed like the end was there right then when all that shit went down. Everybody was like, "What am I going to do tomorrow? Are we going to go to work, or what are we going to do?"
Yeah.
If there was this thing there that, oh my God, I need to go to work tomorrow, but are we going to be attacked?
Right.
Are they going? Is this starting nuclear war?
It was the first time that happened here, and we had to wonder. I mean, other than Pearl Harbor.
My whole point is,
come on, who's calling me?
Bobby McGee is the most worn out one ever. But my point is, we came together that day, like everybody is like protesting in the streets supposedly about. We came together that day. People, it didn't matter what color you were. People were like, "Hey man, how you doing?" You know, yeah, we're going to get these people. We're going to get these people. Whatever they were putting on TV for us to mind control, to push us into to accept next.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever that was. Regardless, the event that happened caused people to come together.
Oh yeah.
Okay, there was no racism, no nothing. Fortunately, the racism started toward the Muslim people. They couldn't be trusted. And that was just that. I'm sorry. If you're Muslim, that's till we figure out what's going on here.
And you believe that just specifically because of someone's religion that we should detain them?
When their religion, if they say, I think this is an easy way to answer this question. If you're coming to this country, I don't care if you're coming to visit or if you're coming to live here. If your religion says that you have to kill the infidel and that you can lie and deceive and do anything you have to do that, and that your main objective is to repopulate in their community, so you have an infidel that is raised, or a new Muslim that is raised to be, what do they call it, a martyr.
Yeah.
Whether it come from a white woman, black woman, or any woman, the families, that is what their book teaches them, is to dominate. And they give them all kinds of things that they can do to do that. They can lie to you.
Yeah.
It's not like the Bible where it says, you better not lie, you'll go to hell. Okay, the Quran will let them roll. Okay, so if I'm at the border and I'm a border agent, the law should be, okay, let me see what you believe. Okay, you believe you have to kill the infidel. That's us. It points to New Jerusalem, which a lot of people say America is the new Israel. Okay, okay, that's the reason you're coming here. That's the reason you're populating in the area, because one day it's a slow build. You're going to invade. That's what your book teaches. You can't come here.
Now,
if that's what you believe and that's what you're into, then you can't come here, because now you're openly telling me why you're here. It's like if I come in your door and I say, hey, man, I'm going to stay all night with you. Man, you got a lot of cool things in here. You know, I'm going to sleep for a couple hours, man. Okay. Then I walk out with everything.
Yes.
Because you let your guard down. It's not because you hated that person.
But you're comfortable with limiting that to their religion, is what I'm getting at.
I'm comfortable with saying is, okay, if your religion, I'm asking you, do you believe this religion? This book says this. Do you believe? I would pull something out of that book that is pinpointed right to it.
Yes.
And I would read that to them and say, hey, do you believe in that? Is that why you're here? If they said yes, see ya. Now, send them right back so they can go
for the same thing.
So they can go over there and hate.
There are also things
over there.
I've studied a lot of different religions. I grew up, like I'm not going to go on down that spiel. My listeners know, but I've studied a lot of different religions, and they all say the same things.
A lot of them
all of the books say the same things. Like there are things in the Old Testament of our Bible,
right?
That if for the same reason, if someone wants to read things that came out of the Old Testament of our Bible, there's a lot of harsh shit that gets said that a lot of people still practice in this earth. Like a lot of people still practice within our religion.
Right.
So those are the people who, if I can say, are the more ignorant side of Christians who have not read the Bible in its entirety and gotten to the point where Jesus came and said, okay, don't do that anymore. Yeah. You just love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
And that sentiment is why I don't necessarily agree with that. Just because the religion, the books can say certain things, but there could be other text in the book, which I'm positive there is, that discounts a lot of, because all the Bible is a compilation of a bunch of teachings, and the same with the Quran. It's just a compilation. The Torah, the compilation of any teachings, and they all say basically the same thing: is that our religion is right, our God is the only God,
yours is wrong,
and everyone else is wrong.
Which
our books say that too.
Which is a form of domination.
Yes.
Okay, but now
what if it's all one God?
Well, what we're speaking about, it probably is. People are just too stupid to understand that. Okay.
They all say the same thing. What if it's all
when you
one?
ask me about religion and God, I'm like, okay, I want to believe in the Torah. I want to believe in the scriptures and stuff.
Yeah.
But my opinion is, I think God is, he's an alien. He's far beyond what any of us will ever know.
Oh yeah, the book says that.
If anybody ever says that they know, they're stupid. They're a fool. Okay, and that's where I'm at. But some of the words make sense. Don't love your brother.
Oh yeah.
Some of the words make sense. But what I'm getting at now, we're not talking about fighting somebody because of their religion.
Okay, now I do have another point that I want to get to.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so David Berkowitz, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Dylan Roof, I can't remember her name, Eric Harris, Columbine shooter, Charleston church shooter, child molester, murderer, molester, all of these Christians. Mm-hmm. Now, do we take all Christians now and say, okay, so all of these guys who murdered and raped and all of these other people murdered and raped people, so now we have to be very, very, very careful with Christians now on. Well, that's why it's a slippery slope.
Well, there's a word that they use for those people, and they're called backsliders. There's people that say they're Christian and they're not.
But backsliding doesn't exist.
They don't actually practice the good part that it says. They don't actually do what they pretend.
Yes.
And then they go home and then they kill people.
What if Muslims are the same exact thing?
They probably are. Okay.
That's the point I want to make.
Now you were talking about taking something and reading it and then taking it another way. There could be pockets, probably are many pockets of Muslims that read this and go, "We got to kill." There's probably Christians that do the same thing. But,
yes.
But because I know more about Christianity than most people do because I was raised in it.
Yeah.
I would say that the majority of people that are Christians that cuss and go out here and chase women and drink and they're not living the good Christian life like most churchgoers expect you to do, they're just considered backsliders.
Yeah.
They could be anything. They could have backslided into a rock and roll guitar player like me. I learned to play in church, and everybody looks at me like, "Oh, what are you doing?" You know where you got it,
Yeah, I don't believe backsliding exists.
What I mean by that is they call them backsliders because they're sliding back to their old ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're doing their old shit. They're before they came to church and started trying to live right. They expect you to stay there. Now, whatever else they teach you while you're there is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So those people that there could be radicals that are in that same group that go overboard.
Yes.
Okay, and lose their mind. Now, let me ask you this. This is on the same realm here. How many left-wing, pussy hat wearing people that are just way out there?
Yeah.
They're out there in Star Trek land. How many of those people do you think have lost their minds so fucking much because Donald Trump's the president are ready to start killing people and eating them and doing? I mean, they're out there.
They're out there. I will say this: there are people in groups who there are people in groups who do things like that, who will go out and throw bricks in the crowds of people that are protesting something that they don't agree with and take to the violent sides of that. And there's
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actually losing their mind to the point to where they hate so much. I'm just going to start killing people with Trump hats. I'm going to start killing anybody Just because they're on one side or the other, doesn't separate the craziness.
Right.
They can still lose it and go after people and do stupid, horrific things. Like the thing that happened in the church was stupid. They should have to me, they should have took the kid out there and hung him in the street right then when he did it. No trial, no nothing. That was just unforgivable.
I'm a fan of thoughts like that, like a public. I know that this is awful.
It's still legal.
I know that it's awful, but public execution, man, you show somebody what the consequences are to doing something so horrific, and put that shit on live television like they used to do.
Mm-hmm. That's really what it is. It's the decision the person makes.
Maybe that would change things, but there's just so many people. Like did you watch the video? Went into the mosque in was it Australia or somewhere like that, where he videotaped the whole thing, had a cam on his head, and he walked in and just like a mosque full of people worshiping. And granted, these were Muslims, but
who was he?
He was just some radical guy who's been radicalized by this whole anti-Muslim rhetoric over this going around the news and everything. And it's got a lot of people it's got a lot of people and a lot of traction that it's gained over the last year and a couple of years, honestly, especially since 9/11. But it's just been really in our face over the last few years when there's actually things going on, like we have gone over and we have destroyed certain countries, and now we're trying to rebuild those certain countries. And whether or not we want to talk about it or not, but President Bush did go to war with these countries, and President Bush's vice president's company did go rebuild all of those countries that, with Halliburton and all that stuff, where Dick Cheney was involved.
Bush's grandfather, supplied the Nazi Germany with money for the war.
I mean,
there's all kinds of weird shit that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It's remember that percentage of people that were born into money that we're talking about?
Exactly.
There it is right there. Those were the people in power. You follow power, there's always going to be a tyrant. Now look, me and you could be in the power structure. Me, you, and...
Let's see what this is. Looking at the context of the verses, it becomes obvious that the commandment of this verse only relates to those tribes who continued hostilities against the Muslims even after they had migrated.
The verses.
I'll give you that.
Well, for centuries, if you go back and look at battles between peoples, wherever they were... There's one thing in common. Rome, everywhere. China, Russia, United States, everywhere. They want to be king.
Yeah, right.
They'll create any reason for you so they can be king.
Yeah.
For us, the little people, to pass around, say, here, I made this last night, take a bite, it's good. People will eat it. Like with mice, and so they stay king. So it's the same thing North Korea does to its people. Here we have North Korea, basically Nazi Germany. These people are fucking in a cage. The entire country is in a cage.
Yeah.
And they are told what to do, what they can say, when they can say it. If the emperor passes by and you do not start crying in front of him, they will behead you right there. They will kill you. Craziness.
Yeah.
How in the world is this existing? Let me tell you how it's existing. Some stupid motherfucker gave them nuclear weapons.
Yeah,
like,
and
the fuck was you thinking?
This is also in these countries where people did nothing other than be born to inherit their
and they are born
title.
into title. Yeah.
There's nothing but born. It takes no talent or anything significant about these people. It's like the boss's son who historically is generally the worst worker, inheriting the company, right?
Yeah, and they are like the mob. They will kill their own family.
Yeah, well, that's how he came into. He killed his uncles. He killed his uncle and his brother, right? Didn't he kill his uncle and his brother or his uncle and his cousin to take power?
Okay, Yeah.
Or had them killed or something like that?
Question. These people protesting in the streets, why are they not protesting that Russia, China, and the United States free the people from North Korea?
What do you mean? They,
It's a Nazi concentration camp, dude. That country they are in prison.
Yeah,
and
I
nobody's
get that.
doing anything about it. Nobody's saying nothing. And the reason is because they are kept out of the news, unless it's some stupid shit,
Yeah.
Donald Trump just went over there and stepped over. Now I will give him this. This Donald Trump reminds me of somebody that came out of Saturday Night Live, and all of a sudden he's the fucking president.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
you're not far off.
I mean, he makes me laugh. I think he should be given a chance. If you were the poorest man in the world, and all of a sudden you're the president, you should be given a chance.
Right.
Don't make a fuck how much money he's got or whatever. He should be given a chance. But that's another story, because I believe there's a shadow government. I don't believe what we see is real.
Yeah, this is all. Yeah, this is just what they want us to see.
Yeah, so they've created this monster for people to hate.
Yeah,
whether it be Obama or they're both puppets. To me, but it's crazy, man. People just they are easy to make a decision with that real small time span, or they join a group. They join a group of people that they get along with. When you move into a new area like I did when I came here, I only knew a handful of people. And then when I jumped into the sound thing, I met everybody.
Yeah.
It was like that, I knew that would happen. And then I started playing, and then boom, it was like a flower. So people will get in those groups, and they try to hang with people that they're cool with, and they find out who they're not cool with.
Yes.
And then, boom, this group does not like this. Everybody thinks alike. If you don't,
hive mind,
you're out of the group. Nobody really is thinking for themselves.
Oh, dude, I've preached on that on this podcast for I don't know how long now. Nobody's making up their minds. I got a line in a song I wrote called "Buy Your Feelings Off the Rack."
Yeah,
it's like, this thing fits me fine enough. I'm not going to tailor make this to my specifications so I get exactly how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But then the same reason I have a problem with I'm going to take the red side or I'm going to take the blue side. Like, you don't it can't be that simple. It can't be that simple. There's too many things that this team stands for you to agree with all of them.
Well, we go right. There's always going to be a right and wrong. We're always going to learn from each other. We're always going to learn from our mistakes. But it goes back to 9/11.
Yeah.
Everybody came together at once on 9/11. And it was a bad thing that kind of created a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
What everybody is protesting for and arguing about between the two sides, we had that on 9/11.
Yeah, we had to burn down so we could rise from the ashes.
And nobody was going, hey, look what we have here. We're together. We're that one thing. Well, the government can't control that.
Yeah.
I think patriotism from that event backfired on them. And they're like, holy shit, we got to divide these people again.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what happened.
They just started throwing shit out there that was crazy. Like, for instance, the Dylan Roof thing. When, he waved a battle flag. A lot of people know that flag represents the South.
Yes.
Guess who else fought under that flag? The Indians.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I'm not.
Indians. Wait a minute. Now we gotta take care of the Indians, but the Indians were Confederate.
I'm not against the flag at all.
Okay.
I'm a fan of the flag. I just
I'm not a fan of the person.
I'm not a fan. Yeah. I'm not a fan of what most people have adopted it to mean.
Right.
In the past, which is not.
Which is what you were saying a while ago. Why can't you think for yourself?
Right.
Okay. Well, we had that thing on 9/11 where everybody was good with each other, and they just people would rather hate and go out here and have something to protest or something about you that they think represents something, and as soon as they see it, they're right on top of you, man. In Tennessee, you got to watch being like that, because people in Tennessee, the area I'm from probably is the most redneck place in the world. I'm sorry, but it is, and those people, most of them probably have Indian heritage. They don't know it. My third great grandfather was in the Klan. He has Jewish blood in him, and it's just, people are stupid. They don't know. They're not educating themselves about history, what really happened in history. Then you got
they're just concerned with fitting in with their crowd.
Yeah. Then you have which I get offended by, just kind of, but black folks will come out and say we're the real Indians, or they'll come out and say we're the real Jews, or we're the real. They're trying to segregate themselves again. When that's what we fought for, was against segregation. And I'm like, wait a minute, what do you have to come out of that, man.
You see, I have a problem. I have a big problem with that, just because you can't limit anybody to their religion or their race. We're all the same shit.
Yeah.
We're all the same, dude.
We are.
We're all the same. A man should not be judged by the name he calls God, or his ability to reflect sunlight.
Right.
Like, anytime that comes into play, when somebody's like, "Oh, well, we're this or we're that," I'm like, no, we're all the same. Mm-hmm. That's where all of the problems lie. Mm-hmm. Is people thinking that we're different when we're not.
We could be different. You know how?
We're the same. We're all the same.
You know how we could be different? All the races could be gone. All the races, all the cool things about all the Chinese, the Japanese, the Americans, the Dutch, all the different nationalities.
What if we were just people?
If a nation in their writings is domination and sleeping with the women, killing the men, which has been for centuries, how they did warfare.
Yeah.
That's how they dominated. They would
murder, rape, and pillage.
They would murder, rape, and pillage, and when they would rape, they would have conception. And then there was an heir. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then it started becoming family, kingdoms. We're actually related to the king, so we have to. See what I mean? So there's a connection. There's a seed planted.
Yeah.
So you have that, and these people are going, okay, we're going to dominate, and we're going to rape all the women, so all the women can be, I don't know, not Muslim, but whatever that race is that believes in all that stuff. Then all the races are gone.
Well, I feel like there's an easier way to do that.
They're all gone. I'm not for that. I like the uniqueness of the Chinese. I like the uniqueness of all the different things. I like the different colors of birds.
But what if it were? What if it were like, I just like birds, or I just like people? Well, wouldn't that be easier to just and not easier, but I think that would just take the bite away from the conversation in a way that
should be a part of you. That should be a part of the conversation anyway. I mean, that should be a part of you anyway. But just like we were talking a while ago, I have looked up my heritage. I know who I am. I know where my bloodlines come from. It's a cool thing, because then when somebody looks at you and goes, "Hey, you're this or you're that." No, I'm not. This is where I came from. This is my family line. If I was a black man and I came from a slave, I'd be proud of it. And I'll tell you why, because those people struggled, dude.
Oh, of course they did.
The ultimate struggle so you could be here. Don't fuck it up.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course. And I think that to continue to look at people I think that race and religion should be the last thing you learn about somebody. Or the last thing that not necessarily learn. I mean, you see somebody, you could tell where they're from. But I think that the religion and the race should be the last thing to enter the conversation, or to enter your mind even. Because I feel like there are too many, like just like you said earlier, like the Muslims are responsible for 9/11 in the most of people's minds. or you think black people, you immediately think, oh shit, well, these people must have descended from slaves. If you think of that first, that's going to alter how you view this person immediately.